Stories that helps you to develop a deeper understanding of issues.
It's 5 o'clock. Hello, good evening, and welcome to 505 on Class 91.3 FM. Coming up tonight, the pressure is mounting in Parliament.
We speak instead for our own constitutional duty as the minority in Parliament to interrogate the conduct of the state wherever the public interest demands.
Minority MPs turned Parliament into a scene of silent protest today, draped in black over the conviction and sentencing of Chairman Wontumi as they demand equal justice under Ghana's anti-Galamsey laws and putting the Court of Appeal on notice over the trial that convicted Chairman Wontumi.
We therefore call on the Attorney General to publish the state's enforcement record on illegal mining across the political spectrum. We call on the Court of Appeal to scrutinize the denial of counsel.
Their message is blunt. Justice, they say, must cut the same way for everyone, or it isn't justice at all.
In July of last year, the Attorney General directed an investigation into the NDC's own national organizer, Mr. Joseph Yamin, and its vice chairman, Mr. Yakubu Abanga, over allegations of illegal mining.
Still in Parliament, Speaker Alban Babin put his foot down, ordering MPs to stop the misuse of police escort and vehicle sirens immediately.
The indiscriminate installation and use of sirens undermines road safety, weakens public confidence in lawful authority, and diminishes the effectiveness of emergency and security services.
Tonight we are live with all the updates from the chamber as these deliberations and more unfold. Still to come, National Service Personnel Association suspends with immediate effect its capacity building program following public uproar over the deduction of 100 cedis from personal allowances. We have details. Also in this bulletin, Ghana records 14% drop in new HIV infections and AIDS-related deaths in 2025.
I mean, look, I would rather invest in that massively and make sure that all the potential or the risky people who have risky lifestyles, you test them, they are negative, give them injection, repeat it in a year.
Now, businesses, households await relief measures ahead of 2026 mid-year budget review.
That has always been the case. Definitely, because we will be going for the mid-year review, we will definitely have some expectations that we want the finance minister to touch on. And the first one has to do with the review of the new vaccine.
And later tonight, illegal miner arrested near Agenda 111 hospital site as Galamsey fight intensifies in the Ashanti region.
The land we are standing on now is to be given a second chance. Because some few weeks ago, we know how it was.
We will take you live to the region where a man, Elisha Dakwa, is stationed. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at digital address GUL 04235595 North Laboni, 3rd Adewalk Street, Accra. We're also live on Ho FM 92.5 and Hills 91.7 in Adaklu in the Volta region. Max Empire 96.9 at Baswa in the Upper East region. Dagban FM 102.5 in Tamale. Radio Power 96 in Spain. We are also live on Facebook. Join us with your thoughts, comments and contributions with the hashtag 505. Alternatively, on our WhatsApp console, that is 0500,000 202 0500,000 202. My name is Nana Agyemang Prempeh. It's 505. Be my guest. Now let's settle for the details and to our very first story. The minority in Parliament has called for equal enforcement of Ghana's anti-illegal mining laws and urged the Court of Appeal to closely review aspects of the trial that resulted in the conviction of New Patriotic Party's Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Entry Bosiaku, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. The minority's comments follows the conviction and sentencing of Chairman Wontumi and Akunta Mining Company Limited by the Accra High Court in a case involving alleged breaches of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006 Act 703. The court sentenced Prempeh Bosiaku to 20 years imprisonment with hard labor. It imposed a fine after finding him guilty on charges connected to mining activities conducted without the required approval. There's more in the following News Desk report.
It was a tense courtroom moment in Accra as an Accra High Court convicted and sentenced the New Patriotic Party's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Prempeh Bosiaku, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, to 20 years imprisonment over illegal mining activities on the Samraboy concession in the Western Region. Justice Audrey Kokuvite took the courtroom through the 6 counts on which Mr. Prempeh Bosiaku was found guilty, delivering a judgment that landed heavily on a case many had followed closely since it first came before the court. Beyond the custodial sentence, the court imposed a fine of 10,000 penalty units, equivalent to 120,000 Ghana cedis, with an additional 3-year custodial term in default of payments. Former government spokesperson on governance and security, Dr. Palgrave Wachidankwa, confirmed that Wontumi has been transferred to the Nsawam Median Security Prison.
I can confirm that Chairman has been taken to Nsawam. So the vehicle that you saw was at a CID headquarters, where I was presently as well, where they placed Chairman in the vehicle and sent him to Nsawam. And I can confirm that he's arrived at Nsawam.
Lawyer for Chairman Wontumi has expressed concern over the High Court's decision to convict and sentence his client. The lawyer described the judgment as unexpected, arguing that the circumstances of the case did not support the outcome reached by the court. He also questioned the interpretation and application of the relevant provisions of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, which formed the basis of the charges. According to him, the provisions cited relate to the assignment of mining rights rather than ownership of a mining concession, suggesting the law may have been incorrectly applied.
Having culminated into a conviction and sentencing. Because under normal circumstances, one would have thought that at least once a person is charged with assignment of mineral rights without authorization, it was tried that the Lands Act clearly defines what assignment is. An assignment is by way of a written instrument. And if there was none throughout the trial, and that a person could be convicted and sentenced on sale, then it's really a worrying trend. And what can we do except to consult our client, passing out the way forward, and it will certainly come out. But the Mining Act doesn't talk of assignment. It talks in terms of assignment. Specific legislation that regulates the conduct of land transactions is the Lands Act of 2020. Yes, Act 1036. It regulates the conduct of land transactions. So if you want to really understand what assignment means as far as land transactions are concerned, then you have to go to the Lands Act.
The judgment has triggered swift reaction from within the NPP, with the party's legal team moving to challenge the verdict and some prominent party figures appealing directly to President John Mahama for clemency. The New Patriotic Party's legal team has begun processes to challenge the High Court's judgment. NPP General Secretary Justin Kodua Frimpong disclosed this on Monday, July 20, saying the party lawyers have started reviewing the judgment and are preparing the necessary processes to contest the decision.
And the good people of Ghana, that Chairman Wontumi is not alone. There is no justification for the judgment since the judge obviously ignored clear evidence exonerating Wontumi. The New Patriotic Party stands firmly with him. Our legal team already commenced the necessary steps to challenge his judgment through the appellate process. The NPP considers Wontumi a political prisoner.
Even as the legal team prepares its challenge, some prominent figures within the NPP are appealing to President Mahama to consider granting Mr. Prempeh Bosiaku a presidential pardon. Leading the cause for clemency is former NPP Ashanti Regional Vice Chairman Kwabena Insiture. He and other party figures argue that while they respect the court's decision, the president has the constitutional authority to exercise prerogative of mercy in appropriate circumstances.
Some people were in jail, but President John Dramani Mahama pardon. So what I say. So it will be very, good for John Mahama say, obey my pardon. None anymore you make na yekesi. Because we are father for all there. Now we are assemblies in India. Abuphobia baby, young fancy, young pardon.
So that was the News Desk report. Now addressing the media, the Member of Parliament for Doma East, Patricia PAJ, criticised what the caucus described as selective application of justice in the fight against illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey. She argued that perceived inconsistencies in enforcement could weaken public confidence in state institutions.
Member of Parliament has publicly acknowledged overseeing a mining site. A sitting government member of Parliament has publicly acknowledged overseeing a mining site taken over from its lawful owners with no prosecution to date. And an NDC member of Parliament charged over an anti-Galamsey clash was granted bail within days. This pattern, taken together, sustains a reasonable perception that the machinery of the state moves fastest and land hardest when it is pointed at the political opposition. A government serious about ending selective justice must prosecute its own with the same vigor it has shown here. These four defects matter far beyond this one case. A democracy survives on the confidence of the losing side that the rules of the game are fair. If trial courts may sidestep constitutional referral, deny counsel of choice, and stretch veil-piercing beyond recognition,
So here, the Member of Parliament for Doma East and the Deputy Minority Leader in Parliament, Patricia PAJ. Now let's cross over to the phone lines and speak with a private legal practitioner, Ni Tete Tete, for some analysis. Hello, Counsel. Good evening, and thanks for joining us.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm ill and hearty.
We thank God. Now, the minority says this judgment is full of major defect. That's a serious charge to level at a certain High Court's judge ruling. So, as a lawyer, when you hear a language like this, what exactly should we be looking out for?
Well, let me say good evening to your listeners. I think that whatever has happened, the sentencing of Wood to me is not based on political grounds. Don't forget that the Minerals and Mining Act has indicated the sentencing period, the number of years someone who engages in illegal mining should be given in terms of jail term, right? At first it was just 3 to 5 years, and now it is now from 15 to 25 years, right? So clearly that the 20 years, 25 years. So clearly, that sentencing is according to law. I'm yet to understand where the minority is coming from in terms of comment like that. But I don't think it is fair on the side of the court to hear this matter, because this is a matter where this person, which was made to go through the whole process in court, and the court found him guilty that indeed he had engaged in illegal mining and sentenced him as such. If the minority in parliament, who are the MPP or the opposition party, feel that they are not comfortable with it, they can support Chairman Wontumi to go on appeal. But that sentence is according to law, the Minerals and Mining Act. Don't forget, that act was amended by the ESCO administration. That's the minority in parliament who were the majority in parliament in just a few years ago. And so if that same law that has been amended is the same law that is being used against an accused person who, fortunately or unfortunately, he is the regional chairman of the MPP in Ashanti region, it is said that he's aspiring to be a national chairman. Why do we now have the minority in parliament who are the MPP complaining about the judgment against their person? That was everything according to law. So if they think that they are not satisfied, they can go on appeal. And if indeed the Court of Appeal sees that, well, based on their submissions, the Court of Appeal that Chairman Wontumi should not be sentenced to 20 years. Why not? I'm sure the sentence will be reduced. But I'm not sure it will be established that he is not guilty.
Right.
As
So,
for being guilty, it is so clear that he's guilty.
So you did mention that they can appeal. The minority can appeal. The minority.
Minority.
Yes.
Chairman won't make an appeal.
Chairman won't make an appeal. Right.
They are only expressing their concern.
Right.
They would want to support Bernard Buesiakun, who's wound to me, to appeal on a sentence, and he's at liberty to do that.
Okay, so on that breath, the minority wants the Court of Appeal to scrutinize this trial closely. Walk us through it. What does the appellate review actually looks like? Is the Court of Appeal re-examining the facts of the case, or is just purely the legal reasoning behind the judge's ruling?
That will be based on the reason for appeal by Chairman Woodumi. So based on what Chairman Woodumi would want to present before the Court of Appeal, that is what the Court of Appeal will look at. But I'm saying that this sentencing was done according to law. That when someone engages in illegal mining, it's 20 years to 25 years. So unless that law is amended, that number of years is exactly what he will be given. Okay, unless there's something different that we are yet to understand. But in all this, whatever the judge said or did is according to law. And if you are not satisfied with the judgment or a ruling or a conviction of that has been given by a court, you appeal. You don't go about organizing press conferences and making noise, because that is the court is not a political wing, and nobody is above the law. So once your matter is brought before the court and the evidence is brought before the court and is proven beyond reasonable doubt, the court will look at the submissions, the evidence brought far beyond reasonable doubt, and make a determination based on that. So when you are not satisfied, you go on appeal, not press conferences, and try to taint it politically. And I hear or I see comments made from some relation, connection of some relative here and there. That clearly is a sign of immaturity. When you're not satisfied with the sentencing or the decision of a court, then you now want to pick separately or pull out a particular judge and now try to connect who she is related to. That clearly shows that as I said, it's a sign of immaturity. You do not do that to the court, because the court decided based on the evidence before them. There was a republic versus the accused person. The judge was sitting somewhere and they brought the things to her. She looked at it, evidence beyond reasonable doubt indicated that indeed he was guilty. Putin was guilty, and that he's been sentenced according to law. What again is the issue? That you now want to connect and find some relatives and connect and say that he's related to A, B, C, and that is why he was convicted. That clearly is a sign of immaturity. I would rather plead with the minority, who are the MPP, that look, if they themselves happen to be, they have more lawyers, more experienced lawyers, they should know better. Once they believe that they are not satisfied or they are not happy with how the court held the matter against them, what do? They go on appeal, and I'm sure that they will get whatever the results they want based on the submissions or the submissions that will be given before the Court of Appeal.
Right. Right. They're also accusing the Attorney General of selective justice, enforcing anti-galamsey laws unevenly. Legally speaking, from what you said as a private legal practitioner, is selective prosecution something that can actually be raised as a defense or ground for appeal in a Ghanaian law setting?
What is the meaning of selective prosecution or selective justice? Is it because Wontumi has been sentenced first, so it means that it has been selected? What's the meaning? Every case and the way it must be done and how it must be done. And so, if you are accusing the Attorney General of selective prosecution, what's the meaning? Because in the long run, if the Attorney General presents all that he must present before the court, it's the court that will determine whether to pursue the case or not. So what's the meaning? Is it because so this allegation to me is bogus? Why? The Attorney General has lined up cases that they believe that the activities or have engaged in corruption or whatever. It's not up to the court to determine which matter should proceed faster or the other or not. And so, for the minority in parliament to say that there's selective justice or selective prosecution, I'm here to understand, because to me that comment is bogus. The Attorney General is doing their work, and they are doing the work as to be done. And everything is about evidence beyond reasonable doubt. And so, based on the evidence beyond reasonable doubt, we will submit it and the court will determine it as such. And so, if today we are done with Chairman Wontumi, I'm sure the others will follow. And this has got that. And as has always been said, the rules of justice grind slowly. And so, if today Chairman Wontumi has been sentenced, I'm sure the others will follow. And this has got nothing to do with selective justice or selective prosecution, because to me, clearly, it doesn't make sense. The Attorney General is doing their work, and they must be allowed to do their work as such. If they think that the Attorney General is engaging in selective injustice, which doesn't hold water, or selective persecution, the most important thing for them is to make sure that the accused persons that are arraigned before court, if the minority in parliament believe that these accused persons are innocent, they can support these accused persons and make sure that in the end, these accused persons are actually declared innocent. Until then, these comments or press conference they are doing is highly unnecessary.
Right, Counsel, finally, before I let go of you, Wontumi's own lawyer has raised a specific technical point, that is the provisions cited under Act 703 relating to the assignment of mining rights, not ownership of a concession. In your view, does that distinction actually hold water, and could it be enough on its own to overturn a conviction or on appeal?
Your question again, please.
So Wontumi's lawyer raised a specific technical point, citing it under Act 703, which relates to assignment of mining rights, not ownership of a concession. So I want to know, in your view, does this actually hold water, and could it be enough on its own to overturn a conviction on appeal?
Well, I may not be in the position to comment on that now, but what I know is that the period in which the lawyer for Chairman Wontumi bringing the letter asking for adjournment and all that time was back. And also, I do not think that it would be grounds to, overturn the appeal overturn the judgment, because this, whatever, decision that was made by the court was based on evidence beyond reasonable doubt. And he was found guilty. If it's about the number of sentencing, it's only Parliament that can amend that law again. If there are other issues that must be dealt, then maybe it's a matter of constitutional interpretation. Well, we wait to see. But I don't think that will cause the accused person to be declared innocent, because whether I like it or not, he's guilty. I mean, from what the court has indicated. So, if there's going to be any issue about if they're going to issue about concerning this case, then maybe more of the number of years you serve in jail. But even that was done according to law. But of course, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what will come in the coming days or weeks.
All right, very well. Let me thank you, and thanks for your time with us, Counsel.
So, thank you.
So you had private legal practitioner Ni Tete. Meanwhile, residents of Samreboy in the Western region have expressed mixed reactions following the conviction and sentencing of NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Ntwi-Bosiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, and his company Akunta Mining Company Limited. While some residents believe the court's decision sent a strong message that individuals involved in illegal mining activities can be held accountable, others say the ruling has raised questions about how mining operations that allegedly affected their lands were allowed to continue.
Mamena Refornia Tifasi, any day, some of boy phone a Nigisem Edimaye. You hear in Sensema Sibibu illegal mining activities at Chema Wontumi Akunta Mining the course for some boya. And in Yankopon, a bang penny for judges said the ruling about to just say Wontumi 84 was answering some more year no home. Na ama okwa kodam 20 years no. E Nigisem Edimaye if we say Sada Jumo ye nyina ena a month ago to me can homa in Sudika Sebe for some boy community. Me have no tears here, me no man in say, me made a boom, enough for Brinaja Padia say in the distance. It is a bino,
which I'm out to me. Or buy no, I have some about my own. She nipa back for a coin of first ma in Suya for some boy queen. Then you know what then if we send a power or moody. Because a man who say a man or more and then get him a so.
A young boy, you need 2 minutes baby when you're free. Because Nipa Bibri, I politics were. I know more council politicians, we didn't politics.
So you had some residents of Samurai Boy in the Western region. So basically what they are saying is that they're in support of the judge's ruling and the government's fight against illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, in the region. We've been joined on the phone lines by a political analyst, Dr. Christopher Ampedu. Hello, Doc. Good evening and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Right, so Doc, we've seen the NPP move on multiple fronts since this conviction. A legal appeal calls for a presidential pardon, and now the minority in parliament today, earlier today, wore black and they are demanding scrutiny from the Court of Appeal. As a political analyst, how do you read this combined response?
Thank you so much. It's interesting. For me, it's so interesting because the NDP are seen as the custodian of democracy. Democracy means that we should also allow the judiciary to work independently. And so when judgments are given, it's assumed that it's out of their independence that they give judgment without the influence of any political party. So for me, what's happening is interesting because as people claim to be custodians of democracy, where especially the independence of the judiciary is so much upheld, talk about people campaign for and all of that, I think we should just leave the judiciary to work as an independent institution. Now, you see, it's interesting, the political hypocrisy we have in our country. When one is in power, they seem to support whatever the judiciary says. When they're out of power, then judgments are perceived as influenced by the opponents, which for me is very, very sad. That is what we're experiencing now, and it's quite unfortunate because wearing black and all of that is giving impression that they were influenced to give judgment. But many, I'm not a lawyer, but lawyers would know that the things for which he was found guilty were. And that's why the judiciary process is so interesting. If you don't agree, appeal to a higher court. So why all of this? I think we should allow our democracy to strive, and to allow it to work means that we should allow the independence of the judiciary.
Right, Doc, so beyond the legal outcome, what does this conviction mean for Chairman Wontumi standing within the NPP and also Ashanti region politics going forward? That's like a 20-year sentence effectively end his political career.
So to be that's the I think temptation in politics. When people are in power, they think they have all the authority, they have all the influence, they can do whatever. Forget that. I mean, political power is temporary. It's for a season. And at the end of it, your opponents will come, and then that's what you are seeing now. And what is happening, I think, will have huge influence over the political NPP, political dispensation on Ashanti region.
Right.
As you know, Wontumi is a very, very influential guy in Ashanti. He has influence. And yes, whilst he has some influence, also he has opponents. And so if he has been jailed for this number of years, surely it will affect the MPP in the region in particular. Already, there are a whole lot of problems. The political parties confronted with confusions after elections. You see the petitions, the court injunctions, and all of that. So already, I think MPP is suffering from a whole lot of things that it's not often well for them. And I think there's a need for them to sit down and then reappraise their strategies and then work for the best.
Very well. Thanks for your time and submission, Doc.
Thank you.
Yeah. You had political analyst Dr. Christopher Ampedu. Now let's cross over and speak with our parliamentary correspondent Zita Okwan, who has been in Parliament for us since morning. So Zita, you've been in Parliament the whole day. A lot has ensued this past few hours. What more can you report?
Hello?
Hello, Zita, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you please repeat yourself?
So I'm asking that, what more can you report from Parliament? You've been in Parliament the whole day. A lot has transpired. What more can you report for us?
Well, Prempeh, currently happening on the floor is a discussion about a loan that government is seeking to finance the secondary education transformation for access, relevance, and results for jobs, which is the STAR-J project. And what this money or this loan specifically seeks to do is to facilitate aims to increase equitable access to secondary education and eliminate the double track system, and then also to strengthen education system, project management, communication, monitoring education, monetary evaluation, and evidence-based decision. And then overall, it seeks to improve the quality, the equity, and relevance of secondary education through investment in schools, infrastructure, teaching, quality, and workforce readiness, and also mainstream all students in order to end the current double-track system. This, the minority is arguing about it on the floor currently, saying that it is not advisable to go for such a loan to end the double track system. So that's currently happening. But earlier, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Dagbing, by communication, urged members of Parliament to comply with the Ministry of Interior's directive on the unapproved installation or, say, the use of sirens and police escorts by public office holders. He encouraged them to seek the requisite authorizations if they need to use such sirens. So, Prempeh, the Speaker of Parliament, has been speaking on this matter. We can take a listen to him as he is saying that the indiscriminate installation and use of sirens weaken public confidence in lawful authority and diminish effectiveness of emergency and security services.
The Office of the Speaker has received a communication from the Honourable Minister for the Interior conveying a directive on the use of police resources, particularly police escort services, and the installation and use of sirens on vehicles. The communication requests that the directive be brought to the attention of honourable members of Parliament and the Parliamentary Service. Honourable members, according to the communication, Cabinet, in compliance with existing law, has requested, among other things, that no person shall install or use a siren on any official or private vehicle without the prior written authorization of the minister responsible for the interior. Similarly, no person is to utilize police resources, particularly police escort services.
So you had the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Kingsford Somana Babin, and you had our parliamentary correspondent, Zita Okwan. Now let's do some other stories. And Ghana has recorded a decline in new HIV infections and AIDS-related deaths, according to the 2025 National HIV Estimates Report. The report shows that new HIV infections dropped from 16,189 in 2024 to 13,951 in 2025, while AIDS-related deaths reduced from 13,492 to 12,051 within the same period. It estimates that about 337,435 people are currently living with HIV in Ghana, including more than 21,000 children below the age of 15. The report also indicates that HIV prevalence among adults aged 15 to 49 years has declined from 1.79% in 2015 to 1.40% in 2025, with further reductions expected by 2030 if prevention, testing, and treatment programs continue to improve. Meanwhile, clinical professor at the University of Alberta, Professor Victor Wuto, has called on the government to make significant investment in pre-exposure HIV prevention medication as part of efforts to curb the spread of the virus.
There are drugs that probably can help you and pre-exposure treatment. Right. I mean, that's something I believe that we also have to look at carefully, where you have 2 injections in a year to prevent you from getting HIV. I think that if we make it readily available, I mean, it's not readily available to the government now, but I think some private institutions do have it. I mean, that drug costs about $2,000+ a year, but I mean, some countries have signed an agreement with one of these manufacturers to reduce the cost about 20-something to about $30 a year per patient. I mean, look, I would rather invest in that massively and make sure that all the potential or the risky people who have risky lifestyles, you test them, they are negative, give them injection, repeat it in a year. So twice a year, they are protected from catching HIV. That is something I will invest money on strongly if I get opportunity.
And every year you go for for the injection. So it's more like you taking a vaccine.
Yeah, to the point where they decide that, okay, now I want to settle down.
So you had Professor Victor Wuto of he's a clinical professor at the University of Alberta. Yeah, he was speaking on the class breakfast show, the class morning show this morning with Charles Akrofi. We've been joined on the phone lines by the Acting Director of Policy and Planning, Ghana AIDS Commission, John Aliasu Mahama. Hello, Mr. Mahama. Good evening, and thanks for joining us.
Hello, good evening, and thank you for having me.
You're most welcome, sir. So the Commission reports a 14% decline in new HIV infections and AIDS-related deaths. What specific interventions contributed most to this improvement, and how confident are you that the trend is sustainable?
All right. So thanks again, and thank you. Good evening to your listeners. So yes, progress has been made. It would be attributable to a number of interventions and not one particular intervention. I think the speaker before me mentioned the antiretrovirals. He talked about lenacapavir, which we don't have in country yet, but obviously the expansion of antiretroviral treatment has been one of the major contributors to the progress that we have made. Since 2016, Ghana has been using what we call a treat-all policy. That is, once people test HIV positive, when the confirmations are done and they are truly positive, they are immediately put on treatment, barring any contraindication. So unlike previously where people needed to wait until the immunity drops to a certain level, with treat all, once the person is positive and meets the criteria, they're immediately put on treatment. And that really helps in keeping people healthy for a long period. And importantly, it helps in what we call the U is equals to U. When they reach the level of undetectable viral load, then they will not be able to transmit. So the U is equals to U. Undetectable means untransmissible. So that's the first sort of major contributor to new infections. To the reductions in
cases,
in the decline in new infections. The other thing would be the expansion of HIV testing programs, including prevention of mother-to-child transmission, interventions, stronger engagement with community organizations, and strengthening our linkage to care so that when people are tested, they are linked to care, and we make sure that people are kept on treatment and so on. condom programming, despite challenges that we face in terms of decline in condom usage, but there is still some progress in that area, and that also still contributes to the reduction in new infections. So generally, as I mentioned, it's a combination of these interventions that are leading to the reductions or the progress that is made. I think the other part of your question is really whether these gains are sustainable.
Sustainable, yeah.
Yes. Well, I would say that the gains are still fragile because the thing about an infection that doesn't have a cure and which doesn't have a vaccine is that we basically need to keep our interventions going, and people can easily contract. The fact that someone is HIV negative today doesn't mean that the next moment they may not get exposed. And also the issue of complacency and people feeling the risk perception is low. So we need to constantly keep working at this and ensuring that people uptake services, testing is intensified. But also importantly, even though we've made progress, it's important to know that that progress is still not significant enough. We still are not meeting the targets that we set ourselves. So we are not attaining the epidemic control with the progress that we are making.
Right. So, despite the progress here, more than 337,000 people are still living with HIV in the country. What are the biggest gaps preventing the country from achieving epidemic control?
Okay, so the first major gap I would mention is with the testing. So we have these three targets we call the 95, 95, 95 targets, which is the 95% of the estimated number. You mentioned the 337,000 people having HIV. So the first target is that 95% of that number need to know their HIV status. As at the end of 2025, we're only doing 70%. So we are falling short of that first target, and that's the first major gap. The second is the treatment gap, so which is the second 95, that of those who know their HIV status, 95% of them should be on treatment. If we look at our data, we are doing a little less than 200,000 people currently on treatment, which means we have over 140,000 people estimated to be HIV positive who are not on treatment. So there also we have a gap of identifying, and to basically put people on treatment, we need to test more, or people need to come for the services. We also send the services out, but generally there's that third gap. Then that second gap. The third is around maintaining or people staying in care. So to attain the third 95, which is about viral suppression. In other words, of those who are on treatment, 95% of them need to be virally suppressed. But to attain that, they need to constantly adhere to the medication. It should be taken the way it is prescribed. But underlining the gaps in treatment, in diagnosis, and in achieving viral suppression is the issue, a major issue of stigma and discrimination, which has been with us for a very long time and which we still are struggling to deal with. Because of stigma, some people would not want to go for HIV testing. But that is not really based on the science, because unlike 20, 30 years ago when we did not have treatment, today we have ARVs. To be clear, no cure, no vaccine, but we do have treatment. And with treatment, even if you are HIV positive, you can still live healthy, productive life. And so there shouldn't really be fear. But because of perhaps the old perception of how HIV used to be and people progressing to the A stage within some period, there's still that fear, which, as I mentioned, should not really be happening today. So generally, these are some of the challenges that are holding us back from meeting our targets and making the progress that we need to make to attain epidemic control.
Mr. Mahama, briefly before I let go of you, according to your report, new infections are still at 13,951. I want to know, who are the new infections concentrated in? Is it the youth, women, key population, or discordant couples?
Well, the estimates show that over a quarter, around 27% of these new infections are among young people within the ages of 15 and 24 years. So really that's an area in which we have a major challenge, and part of the challenge there has to do with whether the services are really youth-friendly, whether the services are adolescent-friendly. Is it very easy for a young person to go to a pharmacy to get a condom, or to even have the comprehensive information about HIV, and what are the various options that are available to them to prevent themselves from getting HIV? So we really are revamping interventions in that area so that there are a number of options that are available depending on which one would be suitable to the particular young person to help them reduce their HIV infections. There also are geographical, differences in terms of the data, and so we are actually tailoring our approach to ensure that this data is used, because the major advantage really of the data is that it allows us to now use a precision approach, whether in terms of geography, because we know which particular regions, which particular districts. In fact, it's disaggregated up to the district level. And then also the age groups. We know which particular age group and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Discordant couples, I would say that's a very small proportion of HIV infections. The majority of new infections in the country is through sexual transmission, over 85%. So that's really where we are focusing a lot of our interventions on.
Very well. Thank you for your time and submission on 505 today.
Thank you.
So you heard the Acting Director of Policy and Planning, Ghana AIDS Commission, John Aliasu Mahama. The National Service Personnel Association, NASPA, has suspended a capacity building program with immediate effect, pending a comprehensive review of the initiative. In a statement, the association said the decision follows a directive from the Minister of Youth Empowerment and Development, Georgia Pariado, and is intended to allow for further assessment before a final decision is taken on the program. The association added that no further deductions will be made from allowances of national service personnel in relation to the suspended capacity training program. However, NASPA clarified that personnel whose allowances had already been deducted would not receive their funds. Let's go over to the phone lines and speak with the Financial Secretary of the La Inquantanan, NASPA, Theophilus Colley. Hello, Theophilus, good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight on 505. Hello, Theophilus.
Hello, Nana Agyemang.
Right, thanks for joining us. So, this is the latest coming from NASPA, and I want to know, you are stating that personnel whose allowances had already been deducted won't receive refunds. That wouldn't sit well with these NSPs. And what's the association going to do about that?
Right. Okay, so let me take this opportunity to also greet your audience and your listeners as well.
But Theophilus, sorry, can you speak up a bit for me?
Hello, can
yeah.
you be heard?
Yes, it's better now.
Yes.
Okay.
So the refund is not going to happen. But then again, I would like to, let's say, speak on how we got here in the first place.
Okay, let's do that.
So NASPA as the association for the fresh graduates, okay, actually made a contract or engaged a contract with one contractor that's supposed to facilitate some training courses to help our fresh graduates. Okay, so the contract has been made. Others are arguing that the contract couldn't follow due regulations and lacks constitutional backings or whatever. But the point is, the contract was made in the benefit of these graduates, and payment has been made. So the refund is going to be difficult. That's our stance.
Right. So, so now is there going to be a plan or a roadmap for these personnel who won't be receiving their refund? Is there something you are putting in place for them, or is there a special package, I should say?
No, there's no special package for. There's no special package for them. You see, we rolled out a program, an initiative, okay, and this initiative is to support these fresh graduates. However, after the outcry, we believe that the purpose of this initiative didn't get the whole attention that we wanted. So yes, we have made part payments. The NSA board has directed us to hold subsequent payments. Okay. So with the issue of us being able to refund or any special package for them subsequently, it's even announced that I don't think that's even possible. But there's one assurance that the reduction has been halted. That's the only assurance we can give you right now.
Right, but subsequently, will the program be rolled out for other NSPs?
Yeah, so based on the board's directive, the contract has been suspended. So as it stands now, the contract has been suspended. Yeah.
Okay, very well. Okay, please make your point.
Yeah, so I'm saying the contract has been suspended because some also believe that it's like the contract lacked the due process and there was a gross constitutional violation to as against Article 19, Article 18, Article 23, and Article 296 of the 1982 Constitution
Right.
of Ghana. So the contract has just been suspended.
Okay. Right. Very well, Theophilus. I do appreciate your time and submission on the show today. So you hear the financial secretary for the National Service Personnel Association, NASPA. It's time for business, but before Irajwa brings us business, let me run you through some of your messages. You can also send your message through our WhatsApp console 0500,000 202 0500,000 202. Parkwesi from La Paz says, "Is Wuntumi's jail sentence a sentence for the NPP political party or for a citizen's criminal actions?" Has not declared a contaminant, which Wuntumi is CEO of and is not involved in Galamsey, while the illegality was rocketing at an astronomical speed. Ghanaians today are in that of yesterday. You can't take them for a ride. Okay, this one says, this from Kwame Cleverstone City Mayor Host Central Constituency says, the micro minorities questions over Chairman Wuntumi's sentence and appeal to Parliament, and the court must stop behaving or throwing dust into our eyes. The law is the law. Speaker of Parliament orders to citizens, individuals, persons, government officials, and members of Parliament should stop using siren alarms in their country. Is the right approach to sanitize the system. He says that I think is a bit truncated, but you're referring to the miner who was arrested by the security agencies around the Agenda 111 hospital premises must be prosecuted or put behind bars. Efo Komla Cliff, Stone City Mayor Ho Central. Yes, you'll be reaching out to Ashanti Regional Correspondent Elisha Dakwa for an update. And this one is from Gershon Afeti East Legon. It says, NPP think they are the only human creatures. Do they know how the families and the NDC feels when they are jailing their people? They should wait for more. So as I said, it's time for business, and a Raja Crunchy is seated.
The Bank of Ghana has announced that headline inflation is expected to return to the medium-term target of 8 plus or minus 2% barring any shocks. According to the central bank's upside-down risks from geopolitical tension in the Middle East, however, remains significant. There is more in the following Newsdesk report. According to the Central Bank's May 2026 Monetary Policy Report, headline inflation picked up marginally in April 2026, marking the first increase since the disinflation process began in December 2024. This pickup was driven by non-food items in the CPI basket. Food inflation declined to 2.2% in April 2026 from 2.3% in March 2026 on the back of a bumper harvest. Non-food inflation, however, edged up slightly from 3.9% in March 2026 to 4.2% in April on the back of increasing utility costs. Despite the uptick, the bank's core inflation measures, which excludes energy and utility items, continue to decline, highlighting that the increase in inflation was not broad-based. Now, a Brussels Airlines flight bound for Lome has made a safe return to Accra after a technical problem was detected shortly after departure. The authority confirmed that Brussels Airlines has begun investigation into the fault, with the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority providing oversight in line with international aviation standards. Here is a news desk report.
A Brussels Airlines flight from Accra to Lome was forced to return to Port on Monday evening after developing a technical fault shortly after takeoff. According to the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, flight SN278 departed Accra at 6:06 p.m. on Monday, July 20, but encountered a technical problem mid-air. In a statement, the GCAA commended the crew for adhering to established safety procedures, adding that the safety of passengers and crews remain its top priority. The authority said Brussels Airlines is currently investigating the technical issue under the oversight of the GCAA in line with the standard aviation safety protocols. Following the incident, Brussels Airlines cancelled flight SN278. The GCAA says affected passengers have been assisted by airlines officials in line with the Ghana Civil Aviation Economic Directives 2019, specifically Part 2 on the consumer protection. The authority has also assured the traveling public that Ghana's aviation safety and security oversight system remains robust.
That was a NewsDesk report. Now, on the international front, U.S. President Donald Trump has imposed a 50% tariff on a wide range of goods imported from Canada in retaliation for what he called an equal treatment of U.S. cars, dairy, and alcohol. Everyday consumer items like wine, hockey sticks, and industrial goods such as cement are among the targeted goods. However, several key exports will be spared, such as energy, potash, critical minerals, and fish. Prime Minister Mark Carney responded by saying Canada stood ready to intensify trade talks with the U.S. in the coming weeks. The White House said the duties would take effect in 30 days. It marks a major escalation in trade tension between the North American's neighbor. These tensions have been simmering since Trump returned to office in January 2025 and unleashed a wide-ranging global program of tariffs, sometimes to pursue objectives not directly linked to trade.
Very well, so that's business brought to you by Irajwa Crunchy. Now, security forces have arrested an illegal miner near the Agenda 111 hospital project in the Adansia Sokwa district in the Ashanti region as part of a renewed crackdown on Galamsey threatening public infrastructure. The arrest was made yesterday following an on-site monitoring visit by the Regional Land Reclamation Committee to a zone recently reclaimed from illegal mining. Officials confirmed that large portions of land previously destroyed by Galamsey have now been successfully restored. The reclamation exercise was ordered by the Ashanti Regional Minister following public concern over illegal mining activities encroaching on the state hospital project. Leading the joint team, the Deputy Regional Security Coordinator Alhaji Abdullah Umaru Inje condemned the level of environmental damage and warned that security agencies would deal firmly with anyone caught engaging in illegal mining. Ashanti Regional Correspondent Elisha Adakwa joins us on the phones with more. Elisha, can you give us details on the miner Alhaji Umar, the miner who was arrested yesterday? Who was he working with? Was he working alone, and which bigger group is he part of?
Okay, he was actually arrested today when the Ashanti Regional Reclamation Committee visited the land which had been degraded by illegal miners, and due to the regional minister's instruction, reclamation exercise was ongoing. So the committee was there to inspect the progress of work on that particular site. So upon reaching there, they saw some miners mining at the periphery of the land that was being reclaimed. So the team that was joined by the regional security, national security, actually personnel chased those people, and fortunately they were able to arrest one of those galamseers. And when that particular person was arrested, he called the owner of that particular area, that land. So he came to the committee to find out what has actually happened, to see if he can actually help the man who was arrested to be freed. So in the process, the committee that was led by Alhaji Umaru Inje, who is the regional deputy security coordinator, ordered for his arrest. So in that particular process, the man who was arrested on site was freed, and actually the man who owned that particular area that was being mined by the illegal miners was actually arrested and brought to the regional coordinating council. When we were leaving that area, his statements was being taken by the regional security council, and they actually told us that he will be handed over to the police for the necessary action to be taken on the manner. So that's what I can report from the area that that particular manner was arrested, very close to the Agenda 111 project at the Adansi Asukwa district.
Very well, thanks, Elisha. So you heard Ashanti Regional Correspondent Elisha Adakwa, and that's it for today's edition of 505 here on Class 91.3 FM. But before I let go of you, are you ready to reveal your fortune? Review Scratch for Win is here to change your life for good. Just dial *850*5# and win up to 1 million Ghana cedis or more in cash prizes instantly. It is easy, exciting, and is regulated by the National Lottery Authority. Just dial *850*5# to play now. It is easy, as I said, to play. So simply dial *850*5# on all networks. Choose your station to play game. Select stake amount from 5 cedis to 2,000 Ghana cedis. Choose your lucky card out of 5 options. Confirm gameplay and enter your Momo pin. Receive your game result and winnings instantly. It is easy, fun, and exciting. Get ready to scratch, win, and live your best life with the Review Scratch for Win. Up to 1 million Ghana cedis for grabs. The short code again, *850*5#. That is the short code to play. Review Scratch for Win, Scratch Keke. Nadisi Kase Bam. Review is strictly for persons 18 years plus. Review Scratch for Win is powered by Super Cash Games. My name is Nana Agyemang Prempeh. For more news, visit classfmonline.com. Stay tuned along on to Class 91.3 FM for the rest of our programming. From the news team, we say good evening.
"30 years ago, MTN arrived in Ghana and everything changed. Now, to celebrate 30 years, we are giving back big time. The MTN at 30 promo is here. 9 Toyota Land Cruiser Prado